What's going on, everyone? So I made a video earlier today diving into should they go and just get new writers, right? Looks like we're getting a new director at Christopher Landon. So if you're doing that, it makes sense to go get new writers. And I kind of briefly touched on, just kind of going a new, fresh direction anyway. And that's kind of what I wanted to dedicate a video to, because I really do believe that they should have went fresh in the beginning, and same thing in 6 and 7. And they just did it, right? Like, these two films were in many ways Scream 96 and Scream 2. There were some differences, but especially Scream, in Scream 96 were essentially carbon copies. And I just feel like you have a real opportunity here for a new beginning. Why not just do that? Why not just go fresh? Why not just go a new route? Why not just, tell a new story? Get back to basics. Don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Just get a fresh idea, keep it simple, and kind of get back to what Scream is. Right? I love the tone and the pace and sort of how it was more modernized in Scream 5 and 6. I do like that. I would like them to keep that. Like, Ghostface wasn't as like comical and just goofy and silly as he was in the previous films, right? He wasn't as clumsy and stuff. Like, he was more, if you're in my sights, that's it, it's over. If you survive, it's only because I want you to survive, right? Like, those kind of things. And so I like that, but I'd like to see some new story. And you got a new director. There's questions about Melissa and Jenna and everybody returning and coming back, and are they going to be able to come back and are they not? Like, why not just say, all right, Scream 6, that was a great ending. Sam and Tara chose each other and rode off into the sunset. Sydney is living her life and she's happy and healthy and free, right? You have a perfect full circle ending, conclusion, into the Billy arc, right? There you go. And pick up Scream 7. Now you have a fresh story, and you could probably do a whole new trilogy out of that. You could market Scream 1 through 6 as the Billy arc, the Sydney and Billy arc, and pick up with Scream 7, and it's fresh. You got new group of characters. We're going to do a new trilogy with Christopher Landon and these new writers, and we're going to tell this story, and we're going to build these characters like we did with Sydney, Gail, and Dewey, and we're going to really kind of hit home, and you're going to get a great film. Right? You could do that forever. You could continue to make these Scream films forever. Right? Like, Scream 5 is probably the worst, like, not worst movie, but I'm talking about, like, worse at, like, the guilty of, like, just plagiarism. Right? Like, it was, like, they tried to replicate and emulate Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson. I mean, you had carbon copy scenes, and I get it. It was a whole nod. It was a whole homage to Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson. All that stuff. Okay, that's fine. I get it. I can accept that. That was great. But there's nothing in that movie. Nothing. And I would love to hear you tell me something that couldn't have happened if they didn't make Sam Billy's daughter. Like, they could have made the exact same movie and just had Sam, maybe be a friend of Jill or something like that. Or just somebody that's grown up in Woodsboro and she's a target and whatever. Right? Richie is obsessed with Stab, fell in love with Sam, and wants to make her the new Sydney. There is nothing in that film that you couldn't have done without Sam, where Sam had to be Billy's daughter. And you had to have the Meeks twins, Randy legacy. And you had to have, all these tie-ins and all, like, you didn't have to do any, even Wes didn't have to be Judy's son. Right? Like, nothing. You could have still had Wes as a character and did the Wes tribute. You still could have had the Meeks twins and just named them something else. You didn't even have to have the OG3. I mean, Dewey was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Dewey was phenomenal in Scream 5. Gail had her moments. Sydney had her moments. There was nothing Sydney did that you couldn't have done without. Right? Sydney the putting on the tracker. She even says, Gail, that's something Gail Weathers would have done. The only thing that was cool that she could have done that no one else could have done is like shooting through the doors and like that scene where I'm bored, just because that just fits Sydney's character and just because she's gone through this so many times. You could have completely left Sydney out of Scream 5. It wouldn't have mattered. You could have left Dewey out of Scream 5, and I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, Dewey was kind of the heart and soul of Scream 5, don't get me wrong, but you could have written and changed it, and he wouldn't have died. You could have just had these three living happily ever after. Dewey and Gail are in New York, living their best life. Gail's got her show. Sydney's with Kincaid and living her life, doing her thing. You have all the same characters. You told a whole new story. You could even have done the same motive and everything if you wanted to. There was literally nothing in Scream 5 that you had to handcuff yourself to the past to, right? And have Billy hallucinations and all this stuff. I get that they wanted to kind of modernize 96 and pay tribute to West. You could have done all of that without handcuffing yourself. And then Scream 6, I love the setting. I loved a lot about that movie. Scream 6 is better than Scream 5. That was fine. But we all knew what the motive was going to be. It was incredibly predictable. Not because, we're all some savants or anything like that. No, because the Scream 5 was carbon copy of 96. You knew Scream 2 was going to be carbon copy or Scream, 6 was going to be carbon copy of Scream 2. We knew it. Literally, I gave you the entire movie and I didn't even know because I just knew that they were going to carbon copy it. And they did. They did a lot of changes. They did a lot of different stuff. I get that. But they also did copy a lot of stuff and then just add their own little twist. And it's like, why? And then you still handcuffed yourself to the past. You still had the Billy tie and you still did and it's like you could have done everything and still not have done. You could have made Scream 5 and 6 the exact same way and not had all the tie-ins and all that stuff, all the bloodlines. I'm sure some people like it. I'm sure some people, but what's wrong with going fresh? After Scream 5, you could have went fresh. You had the conclusion, Sydney sitting in the ambulance, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Right? You could have just Scream 6. We're going to go to New York. We're going to have Ghostface in New York, all that stuff. We're going to focus on these characters. Sydney's out of it. Dewey's dead. Gail, we'll have a little cameo scene with Gail just because she's working in New York. But outside of that, it's going to be focused on these characters. I mean, Gail didn't even need to be in Scream 6. What was the point of Gail Weathers? Everything Gail did, her finding the thing, even Bailey was like, oh, I was going to reveal it to you guys, but she just beat me to the punch. Or Kirby, who's an FBI agent, could have found it. Right? And again, what did Kirby do in that movie that any other random FBI agent character could have done? Literally all of it. I could have played that role and it wouldn't have made a difference. Kirby did nothing in that film. Gail did nothing in that film. Yes, they built Sam great. A lot of people really fell in love with Sam in that. It's just but a lot of it is because they have to, they're trying to ride that memory train. They're trying to ride that nostalgia train, trying to ride that emotional train to get people invested. When I just think that they would have as much success, if not more, if they just went a fresh route. Here's new characters. Let's tell a new story. You could do a whole new trilogy around it, right? Scream 6 proved you don't need the OGs. I mean, you didn't have Sidney Prescott, which many people believed Scream 6 was going to be an absolute flop and failure because Sidney wasn't in it. And I was one of the people that said that is not going to be the case because it is such a small minority that actually care whether Sidney's in this film or not. I know a lot of people do, but they are small fish in a giant ocean because the casual audience, which is the large majority, don't care. And you know how many people probably went and saw Scream 6 just because Sidney wasn't in it? Because they're probably like, oh, this is going to be a different movie, right? It's probably a lot more than the people that didn't see this movie because Sidney wasn't in it. Just start a fresh film. Go in a new direction. You could do... The beauty of Ghostface is it's not Michael Myers. It's not Freddy Krueger. It's not Jason Voorhees where it's one individual person that you have to keep making supernatural, you have to figure out a way to bring them back or whatever, or you have to just fully reboot the franchise. No, Scream, you don't have to do any of that. You can just continue to tell these stories forever because Scream is just the symbol. It's just the guise that the person under the mask is wearing. And it's a different person every time. Multiple people every time. Like, I don't know. I really think Scream 7 is a real opportunity for some freshness. Just start from scratch. You have what could be perceived as a very nice, wrapped in a bow, conclusive ending after Scream 6. It really was. Everyone survived. Happily ever after. Sydney survived. She's living her best life. Sam didn't go dark side. Chose Tara. Boom. There you go. Here's new characters. Let's go. You got a 6-part sequence of the Billy arc. Scream 7. We're just going to start over. New trilogy. Here you go. Call it Scream with some subtitle. You got your new director in Christopher Landon. You got your new writers. And just tell a new, fresh story. Or you could even keep these guys. Like, if you want to bring everybody back, fine. Bring everybody back, but still, just tell a new, fresh story. Don't tie it into Billy and all of the past and have Sam all of a sudden have a long-lost brother, or Tara has another brother out there and he's jealous. Like, so now what? We're going to do Scream 3 all over again? Like, it's just, at what point do you just say, all right, like, let's be creative, right? At what point do we say, all right, it's time to stop doing all these reboots and requels and remakes? And I get it's a copycat league, but, you know, who's the one that breaks the mold? Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Somewhere in between. However you feel, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Follow with the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things Scream, this wonderful community, and all of our discussions. See you all in the next one.